Hello, it's Roger Bisbee here from the Skill Builder channel, and I just want to update you on a little job in this extension that I'm doing, and this is the bifold doors. Now, I've made a video on installing bifold doors and I've done it, you know, it's quite for me, a straightforward job, if not time consuming. But in this particular job, because we were getting a price to do all the windows in the extension, the bifold doors came in with it, and then to tell you the truth, it was a good price for the installation. I thought, let them do it, take a little job away from me. And actually, I regret it now because it ended up making work for me. When you employ professionals, you expect to have the job done properly, and I'm just having correspondence with somebody at the moment who's got this problem of water ingress, and you know, they shouldn't have it because they've been showing me the photographs, and these people are supposed to be professionals, but they completely cocked up that threshold and they've got water driving in all the time. So, you know, you just kind of despair after a while. Now, what I wanted, the all important detail here, is that I wanted this level access. I wanted there to be a completely smooth transition. So when you open these doors, you're not stepping over a bar or anything. You're absolutely at the right level to do the job. So I worked out what that level was and I gave them that line to work to. And this is what happened. So I said to them, what size is that sill? We need to work out what size that sill is so we can just put it in so that it's absolutely level with the floor finish. So they said, oh, I don't really know what size the sill is. I mean, they fit these things every day. So they got onto the manufacturers, they got themselves a size. I gave them a mark on the wall where the finished floor was going to be, and they measured the windows up and ordered them accordingly. When they fitted them, my heart sank because it was about 20 millimeters below where the finished floor is going to be. Now that causes a lot of problems because one thing, it meant the floor was almost running into the glass. The other thing is that it meant when you open the doors outwards, they were going to hit on the patio. So that meant that the patio, or the deck in this case, had to be set lower in order to compensate for that fact. So I was thinking, oh, I wanted to scream. I really just wanted to say to him, go away, I don't want to pay you. But you know, those kind of things, they get very, very messy. The rest of the job was all right. So I just swallowed it. And I sat there thinking, what are we going to do? We're going to have to buy some more doors, fit those. And then I thought, do you know what? 2,000 plus quid for the doors. Best thing we can do is lift the lintel. Now, it's a bit of a mission lifting that lintel. And it was only possible because it's actually a two-part lintel, so we could move the outside piece without having to move the inside piece. But we've done it. We lifted the lintel about 30 millimeters so that it just allowed us to bring that door up, and now we've got a perfect level access across here. So that's all well and good, and I had to take the glass out in order to take the frames out in order to lift the lintel, and then obviously lift the frames up, put the glass back in. So when I started putting the glass back in, I couldn't do it. For some reason, I just couldn't get these gaskets to sit and these beads to go in here. Even though I've done it before, I just couldn't work out the magic formula for doing it. But earlier today, I thought, oh, I'll have one more go at this. And I just came along, put them in, and bingo, they're in. I've got one more to go. Now, I'll just say something. This is a little tip. Because when I took these pieces of glass out, I was doing it on my own, so I took it out and it was okay, it was wedged in there and I thought it was fine, and I turned round to put the beads somewhere, and as I did, a gust of wind blew that pane of glass out, and I just managed to catch it in time. Otherwise that could have been another disaster. So if you're ever doing this kind of job, don't underestimate how powerful the wind is. Just showed them to you here. And they are professional window suckers. Now, I've got window suckers. I bought them Draper ones from Toolstation or whatever, and they were cheap and cheerful, maybe about 8 quid each. Nothing like these, honestly. The Draper ones, you stick them on the window, walk away, and they fall off. With these ones, these are top quality professional window lifters, suckers if you like, vacuum suckers, and you'll see the difference. These are so beautiful. They're also expensive. Best part of 100 quid for these two, but boy oh boy, do they work. If you've got a lot of glazing to do, these are the ones to go for. So this is how these babies work. You've got to keep them clean, but you don't have to wet them. And what you've got on here, I'll turn it around so you can see it, you've got a pump. So you press it against the glass, you don't have to push it too far in, and then you just pump it until that red line disappears. So let me show you that again. There's the red line. So we give it a little pump, and then you'll see that the red line disappears, and that means the thing's on. So again, at the bottom, another one, pump away, red line disappears, you can feel those grab. Now, I still wouldn't lift this glass 5 feet in the air, although it's probably possible. It's just me, I'm a little bit nervous, but if you look at it, that's me. I can lift it in on my own. Got to miss the handle. And now I want to explain something else to you. So I'm just going to take that out so you can see what's going on. And you'll see here we've got some packers. This is what we call towing and heeling. So we've got one packer there, and on the other end down here on the diagonal corners we've got another. And the reason we have that is because these are very, very heavy, these windows. And when you open a door, excuse me, just check nothing's going to fall out. When you open a door, you can imagine that what you've got there is a lot of weight, and the weight is wanting to pull this frame down. And the frame, best will in the world, it's mitered corners, it's an aluminium frame, it's never going to be that strong structurally. So what towing and heeling does, and this is used in doors and windows by the way, what towing and heeling does is it uses the glass as the brace. So if there's a tendency for the door to want to do that, to drop, it's actually held by the glass from there to there. So it's transferring the load from the top here, which is where most of the load is, back across the glass, because in this plane the glass is very, very strong. Not so strong that way, but it's strong that way. So in that lateral plane, it's transferring the load back onto the hinged ends, and you can see that we've got a packer in the corner there. So it's important that you get those packers in. We'll just put a little bit of silicone in just to stop them dropping out. We don't put a packer here. You never ever put a packer down on the handle side, and the reason for that is, I'll show you what happens when we get this in. Okay, that's in place. Now, if we want to lift this frame at all, if this frame is dropping and this handle and lock isn't engaging properly here, and that frame needs to be lifted up, we can lift it with the paddle using the glass. You can do it that way around or whatever you like, but we use the glass as the way of bracing it, and then it pushes the frame up very, very slightly. We can unlock it to make sure that it's got some freedom of movement, and then it will push it up, and then we can get a packer and put the packer in place, and that will wedge that frame up into position. So the load is then going from there, because that's wedged up, across the glass down to the other corner. Now you see, if we put a packer down there at the bottom, when we try to lever that frame up in that position, we wouldn't have been able to do it, because the packer at the bottom would have been stopping the frame from lifting up. So that's why you don't put packers on every corner. Very simple little thing. And I'm just going to tow and heel this and make sure that we get this absolutely right for this lock, because if we don't, they'll have loads and loads of trouble. You can see now straight away that it's locked in that position. Right, that's nicely wedged in there, and the proof is always how well the lock works. Now, this was fitted a few months ago, and this lock has been problematic ever since, so let's just have a feel, see what's going on. There you are. Beautiful. So that proves that we've actually got the door in the right place. I won't open it because it'll fall out. Right, so let's just close that. And what you can also do is just check the margin around the top there by getting a tape measure and just checking that you've got a nice parallel edge all the way around, and if you have, then you know you're okay. Now I've still got this wedged, because even though I've wedged it in, toed and heeled it, as I say, one gust of wind and the whole thing could come out. Excuse me. Bit of dust. So we can get rid of this one down here. Just release the pressure and away it goes. Always nice to keep these absolutely clean, no grit on them. So we've got that. Now the next thing we need, when I took all these out, I marked them up, bottom, top, but somehow the marks seem to have gone. Never mind, I'm pretty sure. The important thing is I got the right frames. You know, I kept them so that each one, because you could get a fraction of a millimetre difference between the frames, and if you're trying to put these on with that in mind, you'll struggle forever. So we'll just stick those in, and that's it. You can hear it click. That's all there is to it. It just clicks in place. One at the bottom, because these aren't mitered, we put the bottom one in next, down here, and you can see that it's just pushing that glass in. There's a little trick to these that you either get or you won't, and some people use a rubber mallet on them. In actual fact, I find that the hand gives you, there you go, these were marked up left and right, and again they seem to have been cleaned by somebody. Here we are, just about there. That says, what does that say? Left.
Yeah.
And this one should say right, left. If it's right, gone.
Other side?
No, I don't think I marked on that side. Never mind, let's give it a go.
There it is.
Can you see it?
Right there.
What does it say?
Sure.
Left. So that goes that side. So this is left, right. In other words, left hand frame, but the right hand bead, yeah? So if I put that into there, see the miters there? There you go. Just hear it snapping, and that's it. It can be, when I first started trying to get these things in, I was overthinking it. You know, some things you just gotta feel your way with it. But one of the reasons I'm making this video is because I looked on YouTube to see the technique, and there's a lot of videos on there that show you how to do the plastic one, but not so many dealing with the aluminium. So they're in. So in theory, here's another lovely thing, by the way. These props, Pitha props from Spain, absolutely brilliant. I use them for all kinds of things, plasterboarding, you name it. So I'm never far away, or these are never far away from me. So we're nearly there, and so it's great because if I can get these windows in now, get them done tonight, even though it's getting a bit late, it means tomorrow I can be working on that patio, getting the patio out, because the thing is, we've been waiting so long to get this job done, to get these doors raised up. Now sometimes you need to use a little wedge or a paddle to keep the glass away. I'll just show you with this one. We can stick a wedge in there to keep the glass away, to help us push this rubber into place. But they're all different, and with this one it's actually very, very easy just to push the rubber in place. Now some people would put this in a bucket of water with some washing up liquid in it, and they would wet the whole thing, which is alright, but this has actually got some kind of silicone stuff on it, so it helps it slide in. So what we do is we put the corners in all the way, and you can see that the rubber is very, very slightly longer than it needs to be, and that's important because this rubber will shrink back, and if you just cut it to the exact length, you'll come back in 2 weeks time and you'll find that there's a gap in the corner, and the reason for that is that as you put it in, you kind of stretch it along its length. So if you build in that little bit of extra, what I call the Loch Ness Monster, you know, you put a few little humpbacks in it along the way and push that in there. We only need to push that in. I've actually got a lovely tool here, by the way, magnesium, but I don't actually need it for this particular rubber, but you can just run it down, and on that end you've got something to push it in, get it up into the corners there, nice and snug. So let's go down to the bottom, take a little tool with us, and we'll find out where we are at the bottom, and that's about there. You can cut these rubbers in. You can cut these rubbers in individual lengths. You don't have to do it all in one piece like this. Some people like to put them in one length at a time. And I'd say if you are replacing glass, supposing you've got some misted up panes to replace and you're doing it yourself, you've ordered the new sealed units and you're putting them in yourself, that's all well and good, nothing wrong with that, but you probably be better off replacing the rubbers with new ones at that point, because they do get a bit, not exactly perished, but you'll see that they don't always look great after a while, and they're always difficult to put back in if they're old. Whereas these, because they're only a few months old, you can see that they're nicely greased up. Well, not greased, some kind of silicone that they use on it. So let's put that in there, and you see what I mean about the Loch Ness Monster. Push that in there, and then we're looking to get rid of this extra here. Just push it in, and it will miraculously disappear because it goes into compression. So as we got this tool, we might as well use it. Given the fact that I asked the guys to come back and change the door and they didn't even answer my calls, it meant that I finished up having to do it myself. And I wish, quite honestly, I'd done the whole thing myself, because it would have saved me an awful lot of aggro. Not because I'm better at double glazing than they are, but because I care about it. And I think a lot of the time that's the difference. So there you are, all's well that ends well. It was a bit of a mission for me, but I did learn a lot, and that's basically not to trust anybody to do anything. Always check them, always look what's going on. If that had been a bit short, I wouldn't have minded, because I would have been able to raise the doors up to the right level. But because they were too big and I had to raise that lintel, that to me was a fairly drastic bit of action. But there you go, you live and you learn. So just shows you that not everything we do on Skill Builder turns out right first time, but the important thing is you find a way to solve it. And that's really what we're all about on Skill Builder, trying to help you solve problems. So come back and see us soon. If you're not a subscriber, become a subscriber, because that helps grow our channel. And don't forget to like the video if you like it, or give it a thumbs down if you don't.